To be like, there's not many people willing to say, well, I sacrificed everything. I lost my marriage, my kids, my health. I just couldn't give a shit about anything else for 15 years, and I became a success, and I stood on some people, and I kicked some people in the teeth. And it's not PR friendly to say these things. Hi. Today I want to talk about disappointment in life. Why is it that we feel disappointed? Why do we feel annoyed by various things? And how can we get past through this irritation and deep sense of disappointment and move towards a more contented and happy life? So as you know, we all have our disappointments and our annoyances in life, but they can really get under our skin and they can really, really hold us back. So how can we deal with it effectively? Well, the first thing we have to understand is why are we feeling disappointed? Now, it's very obvious, just to a degree, that we'll feel disappointed because we don't achieve something we want. We don't get the romantic partner we want. We don't get the job that we want. We don't get the pay rise that we want. And we can go down an angle on that and look at how, perhaps these aspirations are foolish in the first place. As for annoyances, usually we're annoyed by things that get under our skin, the many irritations of life. All this technology is supposed to make us free, but the reality is it becomes more bureaucratic. You look at online forms these days, for example. It was much easier when you went down to an office and filled out a form in half an hour than this online form that seems to take hours to fill, and then the internet goes, and then the form doesn't save, and then you go to the back page, you go forward, you lose your data. We're slowly being driven mad by this endless bureaucracy in life. Like when I was a young guy, all we had to do was work, and on a Friday we got paid some cash in a brown envelope, and you just had to survive to next week. And most people didn't have investments, they hardly had any money in the bank, nobody worried about the future too much. You probably didn't go to college, you didn't worry about going to college. So on and so forth. So it was a simpler life. Now you're planning for the future. If you're in education, it's not enough just to get a school graduation. You have to get a degree and a master's degree and a super specialization and a big loan. To buy a house now, you need to be like a gazillionaire. There's endless certifications, professional development programs, to fill anything out, any kind of application online and so on. So we can see really why life is very irritating with all the petty annoyances. But what I want to go in this video is a little bit deeper as to why we're affected by these things. These are the very obvious practical things. We're going to be disappointed by certain things and irritated by certain things. But I want to go a little bit deeper. Why is it some people are pretty content in life, even though they maybe not achieving much, and other people are achieving a lot and they're not so happy? So the first thing we have to realize is that, especially let's take a look at disappointments. You have to look at what's your expectations in life to think about disappointments. So we're living in a very competitive world. And when I was a young guy, I don't think many people worried about achieving great things. And one of the advantages of not worrying about achieving great things is you're not stressed if you don't achieve great things. So you have to understand that if you're competing against thousands or possibly hundreds of thousands or millions or tens of millions of people, well, there's a lot of competition. A lot of people are going to be very skilled. A lot of people are going to be very lucky. Some people are not going to be so skilled. Some people are not going to be lucky. Some good people will be overlooked. Luck mightn't come your way, etc. So I kind of feel that in our society, there's a strong direction towards competitiveness. The people that we put up in our society, we're always showing people who are super successful, the super achievers. But isn't it enough to achieve some kind of normalcy in life? Isn't it enough that if you have healthy relationships, maybe you have a loving marriage partner, maybe you have a job you kind of like, a lifestyle you like, is that not enough for people? So big question is, how much is enough? Because that in itself is a rat race of you're entering to something of ever-decreasing circles. That's getting more and more competitive the higher you get. And I'm telling you, if you want to be happy and not disappointed in life, regardless how successful you are, there has to be a jumping off point. You say enough. this is enough. I'm not too worried beyond this. So that's the first thing, is what's your expectations that you're setting yourself? The second thing with disappointments is that we are attached to certain things. And if we get an idea in our head and then somehow we don't achieve that thing we want to achieve, that can be very disappointing. And that's always been the case for all groups of humans. It does seem to be more of a case now with young people like Gen Zers seem to be suffering more with this. Perhaps because the society that we have and the images that are portrayed in society are showing people who are super successful. And they rate themselves in comparison to that. So they seem to have a huge expectation, but your average Gen Zer isn't in a big rush to do the work. The Gen Zer usually wants to not work so hard, but they want all the good stuff. So we're in a society that has ever higher expectations, with ever higher competition, ever higher expectations, but people don't want to work that hard. So the first thing I have to say is, if you have amazing expectations, if you want to achieve something great, you have to start looking at the word sacrifice. You're going to have to start sacrificing your time, your energy, your family, your relationships, your health. Something's going to have to be sacrificed. There's a very interesting guy I follow online. This guy, I think his name is Brian something, I'll think of it. And he was quite famous as the man who spends $2 million a year on his healthcare. And so basically this guy is a tech millionaire, made a few $100 million selling his company. And he decided to revamp his health. And then he has this blueprint, I think it's Brian Johnson maybe, this blueprint program for showing you how you can do it. And then he makes some money at the back end by selling some of those products and so on. A very interesting guy. But one of the things he does note and talks a lot about is how he destroyed his health in the first place. Because when he was younger, he's now in his mid-40s, when he was younger in his 20s and 30s and so on, he was working all the time to achieve something. And something we have to realize, and obviously he's changed that now, and he's in a position where he's got a lot of money to change it. But we have to realize that we seem to have a society where people just want to put a PR job out there all the time about how well they're doing in life, as if it's no big deal. I mean, it goes back to when you're in school and college. There's always some guy or some girl, and they act cool, and they say they don't study, and they score very high marks. And maybe the odd person does that, but I think most of these people probably do study. But it's not cool to tell somebody that you're studying. So they kind of, behind the scenes, they're doing a lot of work. Most people, the vast majority of people who are a big success in life actually work very hard. So I'd say if you want to be a success and have outlandish success, well, first of all, you probably need some luck. But apart from luck, which nobody can guarantee, you're going to have to get used to working. I think this present generation of people, they're not prone to thinking about work. They honestly think that stuff's going to happen to them. And what also doesn't help it is the way that like celebrities and well-known successful people, they always kind of roll things out like, well, I kind of came and I kind of did this job and this opportunity came and I rolled with it and boom, boom, here I am. And I think it seems to be like, there's not many people willing to say, well, I sacrificed everything. I lost my marriage, my kids, my health. I just couldn't give a shit about anything else for 15 years, and I became a success, and I stood on some people, and I kicked some people in the teeth. And it's not PR friendly to say these things, but that's the reality for the majority of people. I mean, unless you've got some amazing skill, maybe you're a footballer or something, and you got amazing skill. But most people who became very successful worked very hard. Some are being very ruthless, not all. But there's a sacrifice. And I think we have to start, when we're looking at disappointments, you have to look at, if you want to look at disappointments, you have to look at expectations and realize that, there's some missing pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. Maybe that person's very lucky, but by and large, a number of people have worked very hard. Let's give the example, say Hollywood stars. I mean, we make a lot of fun of Hollywood stars. Often they're not the most intellectual people. Some of them have very silly views and they're very mouthy and stuff. But if we're fair about it, the vast majority of them are very good actors. And you're in a situation, this whole Hollywood thing, where there's a huge amount of competition. And there's a lot of luck involved in becoming a success as a movie star or TV star. But talent is also a big thing. Nearly all of those people are very good. I mean, most Hollywood stars, for example, the majority, some of them are a pain in the neck, the majority are really good actors. And it's not emphasized. It's just not cool to emphasize that maybe you have a big talent and maybe work harder than anybody else in the room. But that's a fact of life. So if you're looking at disappointment first of all and thinking, why am I not so successful? You have to understand that you have an expectation, but are you working hard enough? And most people don't work hard enough. They think they're working. There's a difference between thinking you're working and really working. I see it all the time. You go to a gym, new people in the gym, they're doing stuff and they think they're working. And anybody's been in the gym for a few years and they're not really working. They just think they're working. You really have to get stuck in there. And if you don't want to get stuck in there, then change the expectation. But the other thing I want to take on this as well, to go a little deeper again, is let's get the psychopathology a little bit here. People in the early part of their life were programmed in their life, how to look at things and do things and so on, and their belief systems. And often people will have an expectation that cannot be scratched. So there's always a disappointment. And from a psychoanalytical point of view, this is actually seen as ambivalence. And ambivalence is an actual psychopathology in people, that how a person usually relates to their parents and their family life, early in life. And if there's some complexities in that, especially usually if your parents are maybe very hard on you, if your parents are maybe, they love you but they're not good at showing affection, if your parents are very driven, these will kind of program you in life, and it creates then a kind of ambivalence whereby you want them to love you, but you're not sure if you want them to love you. You want to be a success in something, but then you're not happy about that something. You always want something else, no matter what you get. Because the early example I'm giving is that we might not be happy because we don't get what we're expecting. But there's people out there who get what they're expecting and are still unhappy, because inside them, they're eternally trying to get approval from their parent, which can be very difficult, especially if you have an ambivalent relationship with your parents at an early age. You're probably going to suffer from ambivalence in life, and something I never see anybody talking about, but it's a very important thing, and it explains why some people have kind of thorny personalities, kind of personalities which are hard to deal with. And if you're one of those people, at least you can start by realizing, oh, that's why I'm never really happy. That's why I'm always disappointed, because I had a complex relationship with my parents, because I'm ambivalent. Because whatever relationships you have with your parents as a kid, you will tend to reenact in the rest of your life. So for some of you guys, you might be quite successful, but you always feel disappointed, because it comes back to ambivalence is like, I have the ball, but I don't want the ball. I have the ice cream, but I don't want the ice cream. I think I like the ice cream, but I'm not sure if I want the ice cream. I think I have this person in my life, but I'm not sure if I have that person. I don't even know if I want that person. I want that job, but I don't know if I want that job. I got that success, and I'm very happy I got that success, but I'm not sure if I'm happy I got that success. There's always this touring and froing. So it's good just to see, if that's you, understand that it relates to something early in life. Is there a cure for ambivalence? Probably not as such, but the thing is, if we can see it, you know, Carl Gustav Jung, famous psychotherapist, he's always talking about the shadow self is that which we're not seeing, the aspects of yourself not seeing. So when you start to see aspects of yourself, they're no longer the shadow, you have some power over them. Now, we have things called subpersonalities, and I have some videos on that, but basically, you can't get rid of a subpersonality, but you can reduce it. So if you have, say, you suffer from ambivalence, you can't get rid of ambivalence, but you don't have to, you can see, oh, I'm just being ambivalent, okay? I can see why I'm doing that. So that's one thing you have to understand with disappointment. You could be disappointed because your expectation is too high. You could be disappointed because your expectation is high, you're not willing to do the work. You could be disappointed because you got some ambivalence issues with your parents. Usually with your parents or early life surroundings or whatever complexity. The other thing is on annoyances. So again, annoyances, we're all annoyed because our lifestyle is more irritating. If you go back to all these ads in the 1950s and 60s, it showed a wonderful world of technology, and here's the refrigerator, and here's the washing machine, and soon we're going to have Android maids cleaning your house, which will probably be a thing in 20 years' time. Which I'm looking forward to. I think that might actually be good. But for all that technology, you know, like, I have a dishwasher, but I have to wash the dishes before I put them into the dishwasher. So I have to wash the dishes because I can't just throw them in. I have to scrub the food off them. which means I have to take it off, put it in the bin, give them a bit of rinse, put them in. Then I have to run the machine, and then I have to take them out of the machine. And then I have to kind of do little mini services. If anybody who has a dishwasher, you have to put powder in, and you have to put this rinse aid in and salt in. It's a big pain in the ass. So although we have machines, and it takes away from the labor. Like if you look at the old school way, like I live in India, and I see, you go to kind of poor areas, you see people who are professional washing people, and they're washing clothes, and they're up by the river, and they're beating the clothes off the rock and all that. That's the old school way of washing. It was like by hand, and this is terrible. So we're free of the labor, but we're not free of the time. Our time's being sucked by all these different things. And on top of that, our super complex society has us doing more and more and more stuff. It's driving us all nuts. So I think it's honestly, we are just being driven nuts by our society. But if you are irritated all the time by little things, maybe there's some aspect to yourself that's angry or upset or not being nurtured, or maybe you don't know how to say no, and so you're trying to be a people pleaser and pleasing people all the time. So it's just something to look at. In general, people are going to be annoyed anyway by the complexities of life, but if you're being annoyed a lot by many different things, maybe you're living a life that you think you should be living, but you're not really so happy. I'll give you the example of the people pleaser type, or if you look at the Enneagram, there's different numbers in the Enneagram. The number 2 type, for example, in the Enneagram is the helper type, the person who they really love helping people, but they also want to feel that back. And often they'll help people even if the people don't want help. And then when the other people don't give them the affection that they feel and the gratitude for that, because they didn't ask for it in the first place, they feel upset. So, that kind of a person will be irritated because they will be trying to do the right thing all the time, trying to help people all the time, but maybe they're not looking after their own needs, because you have needs too. And it's like, you get into the airplane and they give you the security thing. The first thing they say is, if the oxygen drops and you got a kid, you put oxygen mask on first. Why do you put oxygen mask on first? Because unless you're alive, you can't save the kid. So oxygen mask on you and then on the kid. It's the same thing. You can want to help people, but if you keep subverting your needs and your wishes and your wants and your desires to please everybody else, you're going to find everything annoying because you're not looking after your needs. So you have to look after your needs. So just a little video I thought I'd share today, because I don't see a lot of people talking about annoyances and disappointments, but they are very important. And we can't be free of every disappointment and annoyance, and sometimes they can make more of a man or woman out of us when we process and deal with them. But to understand why, rather than people tend to just brush out, well, get on, get back on the thing and get over your disappointments and make for the best of things. And we should analyze a little bit and see, why am I annoyed? Why am I disappointed? Why am I irritated? What's my expectation? Do I have any issues? Am I willing to work? What am I going to do about it? So as Plato said, or Socrates said, because apparently Plato was just same as Socrates said, the life unexamined is not worth living. You got to examine your life and look at every little minutiae of your life and think, why am I disappointed? Why am I annoyed? Why am I irritated? And some of it you just can't avoid. And failure is an aspect of life too. There are certain things you'll face in life and you don't have a way of dealing with them. If you don't have a way of dealing with them, you'll have some trauma and some pain that'll take time to adjust. But there's 1,001 small things that are happening every day in our life, and these little things could make our life more productive, happier, more content. I think it's really important. We have to look at the quality of our life and those little fine-tuning things that we can do to lead a better and happier life. So I hope you have a really nice day. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.